Hello everyone, welcome to AWS Tutorials. In AWS Tutorials, you'll learn about AWS services. Today we are going to talk about how you can handle PII data using AWS Glue. If you are building a data platform, you will come across this question at any point of time for sure, and hope this tutorial helps you make the right decision for your designs. So let's get started. First, to clear up the very basic thing, what is PII information? PII stands for personally identifiable information. It could be any piece of information which can uniquely identify a human being. It could be any email ID, mobile number, social security number, passport number, or even biometric information like your fingerprints or your facial recognition or even handwriting. Any such things which can uniquely identify a human being will be considered a PII information. So how to handle PII data? Now, let me make one thing very clear. I am not a legal expert because I know how to handle PII information. Law, that regulation, that compliance is different per country, per region, and I'm no way expert in that. So I'm trying to tell you solution more from a technology point of view, and then you have to see how you can make this technology how you can make use of this technology to address the regulatory or compliance requirement as per your region or country or company you are working in. Okay. So again, let me make it very, very clear. I'm not talking it from the law, regulation, or compliance point of view. I'm talking more from technology point of view. Okay, sorry. So what happens when PII information is coming into your data platform? Generally, people want to handle it in two ways. One is they want to, so for instance, they want PII data to come to data lake, and they want their like PII data in the data lake, and they want to make use of that information for reportings or any other kind of dashboarding purposes. So so all they want is can I identify PII data in my data platform, and I can restrict access to it. So they don't want personally identifiable information to be loosely available within the data platform, so anyone can misuse it, sell it, or and compromise people's identity. So one way of people handle this problem is they want to identify the PII information and then simply restrict access to the information. Other set of customers I have seen is you can say very restrictive. They say, I don't want any PII data at all in my data platform. So the moment any PII data comes to the data platform, they want to mask that information. So they want to make that information unidentifiable right away. And generally, these are the guys who say, I don't need PII information for my use cases. I simply want to mask that information. I want to remove that information. They want to identify the information and mask it so that the information cannot be compromised even if the data is compromised. Okay, so then you will find two ways to handle it. In one way, people want information to be available, and then they want to restrict access to it. And other way is when they want information to be not available at all in the data platform, they want to mask it right away so that even if the data gets compromised in some way, the personal identifiable information is not compromised at all. So there are two rough technical ways you can say people want to handle the data. Now, how do we approach to handle this PII data? There are two approaches. One is a proactive approach. And proactive approach says that when you are trying to ingest the PII data to the data platform, you simply identify and handle data at that point of time. So try to try to hit the problem at the source. And the source is when the data gets ingested into data platform. And simply identify the PII information at that point of time and simply handle it, whatever method you choose to handle it. So that's a proactive approach. And for that, there are approach methods available in AWS Glue job to control it, and I'm going to talk about that. The second approach is reactive approach, where I say, okay, fine, my data comes to data lake, and I don't check my data when data comes to data lake. I don't check at that point of time, but I want to have a reactive scanning mechanism in place, which will simply identify the PII information in my storage and will simply handle it. So there is an AWS service, Amazon Massey, which can do this kind of reactive approach, where it can actually look into your data lake S3 buckets and can actually identify the PII information and can alert about it. And by that alert mechanism, actually you can actually build a solution to handle the information, whether you want to restrict access to the information or you want to mask the information altogether. And I have already created another video about Amazon Machine. So if you go to my tutorials list and you search for Amazon Massey, you will find one nice tutorial talking about using Amazon Massey for identifying PII data into your data platform. So today's focus I'm going to keep on the Glue side, where if I'm trying to use AWS Glue job to ingest any kind of PII data, how do I identify it and handle it? Okay, so this is where I'm going to focus. But if you are interested in Massey part, I have another tutorial to cover that. You might want to search into my YouTube channel and find it. Many people apply both approaches because they want to make a foolproof system. So they say, I want to control it at a proactive level as well. I want to control it at a reactive level as well, just in case someone at proactive level was not sincere enough to identify the PII, handle the PII information identification and so on. So yeah, you can do that as well. Okay. It depends on what kind of control mechanism you have at the data ingestion level. If you have a very strict control mechanism at data ingestion, then probably don't need a reactive approach. But if you think that there's a possibility that people will slip through in proactive approach, then you might want to deploy a reactive approach as well to make sure that your system is foolproof. Okay. So moving on. So focusing on the Glue job part, which is the main content of today's presentation. So how do I handle my data using Glue job? So in Glue job, a new custom transformation has been introduced. It's called detect PII. It is still in preview. Okay, so what I talk today might change a bit when it actually got released, but it's working fantastically fine. So I thought, why not talk about it? And what this transformation does is that you can provide in this transformation input data with PII information, and it can give you output data with PII information handled. So it can handle your PII information. So how does it handle the PII? So it's basically a simple transformation, a single drag and drop of a transformation, custom transformation provided by AWS Glue, and it can handle your PII data at the time of ingestion. So basically, it can handle information in two ways. And the first way is it can enrich data with a detection result. So this approach can be used by those customers who say, I want to detect whether I have PII data, but I don't want to mask it. I want to keep it, and then I want to simply restrict access to it. Okay. So for that case, you can use one way of handle is that it can look into your data, detect the PII information, and can provide that detection result as an enriched information. So additional feature, additional data into your data saying this is the detection result of the PII information in your data set, right? So yeah, you have more information about the PII data present in your data set, and then you can accordingly handle it, like make it very restrictive access, or if you want to use some other custom library or custom method to encrypt it or mask it, then you can use that as well. And other approach, which other method which PII PII transformation provides is it can simply mask your data. It can mask your PII data, and this approach can be used by those customers who say I simply don't want any PII data to be present into my in my data platform. If any PII information is getting ingested into my data platform, simply mask it. That's all I care about. So they can simply go for this second way of handling. Okay, so let's try to understand these two handling through an example. Then it will become very clear to you. So let's take the first one where say how do I enrich data with detected results. So suppose this is your input data. So my input data is like my name is Robin Smith, this is my email address, this is my country, and this is my preference. So here email ID is the PII information, and I put this preference as a text with PII data to see if it can detect PII data within a text or not. Just to test that part, I added last field like that. And if I try to pass this data through this detect PII transformation, it will give me an output like this if I go for detection results approach. So what it will do, it will keep the original data as it is, but then it will add a new field together, which is called detected entities. And it is saying that first entity is an email field, and this entity is actually having, this field is having PII data of email type, and the data is from 0 to 19. So 0 to 19, this is where the data, so the full length is actually the PII information. So you know that, okay, fine. So this, in this field from 0 to 19, there is a PII information which is of email type. Similarly, it says there's another field preference which also has got an email type, and here the data is from 16 to 39. 16 to 39. Yeah. So you can see here it is simply providing additional information about data found in the PII data identified into your data set. Now it is up to you. Once you see this thing, okay, fine, you know, okay, fine, I have got email type PII data in my data set. Now I can restrict access to this data set, or as I said, you can use some third-party library to simply, since you know the location of the data where the PII data is, you can actually mask or encrypt data using those third-party APIs as well. Yeah, you can use that method. So this is what the output you get actually in terms of detected PII information if you use enrich data with detection results approach. Now the second one is pretty straightforward. Redact detected field. That means you're simply going to mask it. So this is your input data, and your output data is simple. You selected this characters, this string as a way to mask your data. Wherever it will find the PII data, it will simply go and mask it using this character. That's it. So you can see here it has masked email ID over here. It has masked email ID over here. So you know that that part was keeping some PII information. So now it doesn't tell you it's an email or phone what information is there, but it says, okay, fine, you have some PII information. I'm simply masking it. Okay. So again, this approach is pretty straightforward. You simply mask using this transformation. You can simply mask the PII data which is coming in. Now, What kind of supported PI data? So right now it is under preview, and if you look at the list of supported PI data, it looks very much US centric at this point of time, but few things are a little, you can say, open, like your email or your credit cards are quite open format. IP addresses are quite open format. MAC addresses are quite open format, but rest are very US specific. So yeah, I mean, and right now it is under preview, so I'm sure once it is released, comes out of the preview, and in the coming days, this PI data supported set will enrich to support more formats and more data even outside US. Few technical details is very important. Few things are documented, few things are not very much documented, but what error I got, so I thought I will share with you few things which will help you make it work. First thing first, you know that AWS Glue Job 3.0 is out now. Version 3.0 is out now. So I tried to run it with 3.0, but then it failed. Reason being that right now it supports only 2.0. If you try to use 3.0, then you will get an error called AWS Glue ML module is not available. So it only uses a module which is not available in 3.0. It's available only in 2.0. So make sure when you create a job using Glue Job Studio, choose the Glue Job version as 2.0. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is this actually internally Glue Job makes a call to an API, entity detector API. It's one of the machine learning APIs from Glue. And for that, it makes a call using this STS endpoint, AWS STS service. So when I try to run it, it says, okay, hey, I'm not able to reach the STS endpoint. So it says either use a NAT gateway or use VPC endpoint. So since Glue is a serverless thing, it cannot call outside. So I have to, you have to create a Glue connection, like a network type or network type, and then that you can create this network type connection into a VPC, and then that VPC can have an endpoint configured for STS service, and if you do that, this whole thing will work. Otherwise, the Glue job fails, saying that it's not able to reach the STS service. So you can use both NAT gateway and endpoint with your VPC, and then you have to use Glue connection with the VPC to create a network path from your Glue job to the STS service. Okay, so these two technical things you have to take care of. Now, again, there are many partner solutions which are available, which actually can convert PII data into mask or encrypted data, and can reverse as well. Okay, so I have seen certain solutions which can do both, converting PII data into mask or encrypted PII data, and do the reverse part as well. You can definitely go for those solutions as well. I'm not naming any solution here because I try to not to name any partner solution, because it's not that there are only one or two solutions, there are many solutions. It's not possible for me to mention all the solution, and if I mention one or two solution, it looks like I'm favoring certain solution, and which I don't want in my channel. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You can go to AWS partner network partner solutions, technology partner solutions, and can look for PII data handler kind of solution, and you will definitely find some good solutions which you can use as well. Not that you have to use only the Glue based solution only. Okay, so moving on, time for the demo. Demo is pretty straightforward. So what we have got here is that we have got an Amazon RDS with some PII data, and this I'm going to use AWS Glue job to bring into S3. And here data is got a email based PII data, which I'm going to simply mask it. In order to my Glue job to reach RDS, I'm using a Glue JDBC connection and creating that will create an ENI in the VPC, and that way I can reach to RDS. And same ENI I'm using to actually you then talk to my endpoint as well to talk to the STS. So here I have been like I have a benefit that since I have a glue connection, JDBC glue connection connection to the VPC endpoint, I simply used that one for my endpoint connection as well. In your case, if you don't have this kind of benefit like me, then in that case you might want to create a glue network connection into a VPC and let that VPC has an endpoint configured to the STS service, so that your glue connection, your glue job has a network path to the STS service, because glue job does use STS service when calling the glue machine learning APIs. Okay, so it looks all good. Let's jump on to the demo. So here we go. In AWS Console, I have got RDS instance running. It's Aurora Postgres serverless instance running. And I have created a table over here, simple table, customers table. If I run a query, select star from customers. You can see here I have got name, email address, country, and preference. The same example I showed you in the presentation, I have created a table like that. And this data I'm going to ingest, and I will use detect PII transformation to try to handle the data. Now my destination location is Dojo dataset folder. So if I refresh this, there is nothing here. Very good. So Dojo dataset is my target location, so I think we are all good. Now my endpoint. So just to show you that I have created. So since my RDS is, if I go to my RDS instance details, and if I go to my VPC, you can see here it is in the VPC default VPC, or using all three subnets, using default security group. So here also I have created the same thing. You can see here I have created a VPC endpoint to the STS service in default VPC using all three subnets. It's not able to retrieve it somehow, but I think it should be able to now. Somehow it crashed, so I'm not sure. So you can see here it's showing me all three subnets, and it's using the same default VPC. So by virtue of that, my actually glue connection, the glue connection which I'm going to show you next, will provide my glue job connection to the STS service as well. Now let's go to the glue console. So first thing first, I have created a glue connection. So let me show you details of the glue connection. So here is my glue connection RDR connect, where it's a JDBC type connection, and I have simply provided my JDBC string URL so this is my instance name, then my port, and then my database name. And then it is in the default VPC. I choose one of the three subnets, default subnet group, and my username is Postgres, and I have provided a password as well. So this all looks good to me. My connection I have tested, it works fine. Using this connection, then I created a crawler. So I created an RDS crawler. So if I go to, and I run it, and it created one table for me. So let me show you the details of the crawler. So basically, if I show you edit crawler, I think I should be able to walk you through the configuration. So it's RDS crawler, and then, okay, it's a JDBC type crawler. I'm saying use RDS connect connection, and look into Postgres database, and then anything you get into database, simply catalog it. Yeah, so I'm putting this wildcard here. Then I don't want to do any data store. I'm using this role to run the crawler. I'm running on demand. I'm creating a table inside DojoDB, and my prefix is src underscore, and that's it. So you can see here my my crawler is all configured here. So when I run this crawler, it created one table for me, and that table is here. So you can see this is my table, src Postgres public customers. And if I open this one, it shows me the whole format saying this is my country, name, preference, and email. So my database is all ready. Looks nice to me. Now I need to so my source is ready in fact, so now I need to configure the glue job using Glue Studio, which will simply ingest the data into S3 bucket, but before ingesting it will handle the PII data, and the approach I'm using this time is creating the mask of the data. So let's go to the Glue Studio. And then I go to the jobs in the left hand side. I want to create a blank canvas, and let's click on create. Nice. So I've got my canvas open in front of me. So first thing, I select my source. So I want to source from actually relational database. So I want to use my JDBC data source. So it uses catalog actually end of day. So if I select this one, you say, okay, I'm using DojoDB database, and my table is SRC Postgres public customers. So you can see here, so if I go to output schema, it has identified the schema, so all good. Yeah, Studio is getting better and better. In fact, you can go and see data preview as well. Actually, this is a very new feature which has come where you can see the preview of the data. But I'm not going to click it because it will actually take some time, and I don't want to waste time. So my source data is connected now. Now I want to add transformation. And here is my transformation and detect PII under preview. So if I select this one, it simply connects. So it says, okay, fair enough. Where is my parent? Okay, my parent is a relational DB, so it is flow next to it. Let's see the transforming here. And again, it is under preview. So it takes says, okay, why? How do you want to detect it? Like, you want to scan each of the cell, or you want to simply take a sample and work based on the sample? Generally, if you want to achieve better performance, you should be going for the second option, where you want to take a sample portion of the data to detect the PII records. But because if table is very big, and if you go for like scan of the entire data set, it might take some time. In my case, I have got only 5 rows, so I'm not bothered much. So I'm going to select the first option, where I am going to detect into each of the cell. Then it asks you what PII to detect. Now you can select all always, but that detect all type of PII. But that again, if you know precisely, you might want to select that. So like here, you can select literally from the list of universal to networking to United States to healthcare, and so on and so forth. You can select from these choices what you want to detect. In my case, it's an email ID only, so I'm simply selecting email ID. Now, if you know the type of PII data which might come, that it's a good choice that you select a PII here, because more specific your scanning is, less time Glue job will take to detect the PII information and handle it. If you can select all, then it's going to unnecessarily look for all type of PII data, which might not be available there in your data set, and then you are paying for additional time for the Glue job without adding much value. So if you know what PII data is coming, you might want to select those PII data over here. If you don't know, then you might want to select all to cover every aspect of it. And then comes, how do you want to handle it, whether you want to enrich the detection results, or you want to mask it or redact it. In my case, I want to go for redact it, and it says, okay, how do I redact it? Which value should I replace it with? And I'm saying, okay, you know what, simply use ** to replace it. And that's it. So with that, actually, this is all good. So if I go over here, so it's all done. Look for each cell value, look for email, and simply redact it with this value. And if you look at my output schema doesn't change, because it's not going to change my data set. All it's going to do is simply redact my PII information, which is email type, in my data set. Now it is time to write this data at the target. So I'm simply going to say I want to write to the S3 bucket. and it says in which format. So let's keep it JSON format for now, and which location. So I can browse and simply say go for go for Dojo data set, select it, simply dump to the root of the Dojo data set. So same bucket I have created earlier. And you know now that in Glue job, now you don't need to like run a separate crawler to catalog your data. You can run crawler as a part of the Glue job itself. That really saves a lot of time from the workflow configuration point of view, and also from cost point of view, because you're not running any additional crawler. Okay, so in this case I say, hey, I want to create a new table for this data I'm creating, and this table I want to catalog it, and I will catalog into my Dojo DB, and my table is say target underscore customers. So all good. So now I have configured it. It looks very nice. So I've got my JSON format data at target at this location, and I simply want to catalog it as a target underscore customers table in Dojo DB database. Now let me update few job details over here, and then I'm all good. So let's give this job a nice name. I'll call it a Dojo Glue job. My IAM role is Dojo Glue role, and I have to select my Glue version 2. 3 is not going to work, and Python 3 is fine. Everything else is okay. I don't want 3 retries. I simply want 1 retry if error comes. Hopefully no error will come. And then I simply save this job. Sorry, it's creating my job, and now I simply need to my job is saved now. Now I simply want to run the job. So I run my job. So I can go to my runs, and my job is running, and I'll wait for my job to finish, and then I will show you the output of the job. So let's wait. Okay, so you can see the job has successfully finished. So this looks very nice. So the job would have written the output in the S3 bucket, and it would have also cataloged my data. So I can click on this Glue catalog over here, and it will open up new Glue console with where I can go and see the tables. And you can see here it has created my target customers table in Dojo database, and it is located data is located at the Dojo dataset folder, bucket, and then this is the JSON format. So let me try to query this data. So if I say here I want to view data, so it will use Athena to view my data. So here I am navigated to the Athena, where I'm saying select star from Dojo DB target customers limit 10. Let me run this query. And when I run this query, it shows me the results. So you can see here, it has created the output file. The email IDs are replaced by my redact text, and both you can see here it has redacted the entire field over here, and here it has identified the location of the PII data in the text, and it has simply redacted that part of the data. So you can see here it has handled my data, PII data, by redacting my by masking my data with the mask value I provided. So that was all for demo today, guys. Hope you like it, and if you like, please click on the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. I always look forward to your feedback on my channel, which could be about a new content, or which could be about pointing out any kind of mistake I made in my video, any kind of claim I made wrong in my video, or it could also be to discuss any of the design things. So any design things related to AWS, or any video I talked about and you want to discuss further about from design or architecture point of view, feel free to provide your comments in my YouTube comment section, and I try to make sure that I reply to you soonest possible. So I look forward to your feedback, your comments in my channel. I promise to come back again in a week's time with another such video. In the meantime, yeah, stay safe and have a nice day. Bye bye.